What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we highlight the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes.
What's up? What's up?
And LeVon Maynard.
Hey, welcome to the show.
Yeah, so it's action-packed week. Last week, we're catching up. So this week is dedicated to the Colonial Pipeline attack. So throughout the week, we'll break out different aspects of it. So Monday, we will cover the actual attack. Tuesday, we'll talk about the executive order. And then Thursday, we'll discuss the ransomware being paid. So tune in all week. Then obviously Friday, we'll do the rundown. So I've been watching and listening to a lot of things. So it'll be pretty interesting. So without further ado, I give it to you.
Right on. Yeah. So as you so eloquently entered or started off this call, I mean, the Colonial Pipeline attack was a big thing that happened this week. And there's an article from BBC.com from Joe Tidy, basically describing the situation that happened. I think he did a great job in kind of outlining the situation. As we all know, that the pipeline got hacked. They did a ransomware attack, pretty much shut down the operations for like almost a week. And as a result, we had a big kind of, I want to say, I don't know, people got really
Panicked,
yeah, to say the least. People started like filling up canisters and filling up plastic bags full of gasoline, trying to like stock up for the long haul. I guess they thought they would be out of gas for an infinite amount of time, which I understand people trying to be, safe or like being concerned and making sure that they have supplies. But, I think we all kind of saw some people kind of got a little excessive with their supply. But nonetheless, I was going to kind of describe a little bit of the hack that happened. And as we know, like the Colonial Pipeline is pretty much one of the this attack has been one of the most significant attacks in critical national infrastructure in history. So it was a big concern. I mean, obviously we rely on a lot of fuel. Obviously our cars, our trucks, and everything like that, even jets and airlines, ships and things like that. I'm sure they all rely on some gas, some fuel lines. So this being offline for this period of time, it definitely caused a big concern for America, for our industry, for our daily activity, for our way of life. But first thing, when Joe put this order together, he described like how can the pipeline be hacked. But some people don't realize that the pipeline is actually very modernized. It has a lot of like technology embedded within it, from the pressure sensors, the thermostats, valves, and pumps used to monitor and control the flow of the diesel and petrol and jet fuel across 100 miles of piping. And actually, they have a smart pig, which stands for Pipeline Inspection Gauge robot, that actually scurries through the pipes to actually check for anomalies. So I guess if there's some damage in the pipeline, or if they have, I don't know, maybe even checks like the fuel levels and the properties and maybe some of the chemicals within the fuel, if there's some kind of contamination or something like that. I'm sure it can probably expect that kind of stuff as well. But it's actually more sophisticated than maybe some people realize, that they think just like some pipe, some little pump that people's like pushing up and down to try to get the gas out of it and get the oil out of it. But it's actually pretty high tech. But there hasn't been any official line of an announcement as far as how the hackers got in, and I'm assuming that they're probably going to try to keep that low key as it is to try to prevent it from happening in the future. But you would think that they want to like put that information out there so people in the future can know like how these people are getting in. It always seems like it's kind of like hush hush about how these hackers got into the system, and maybe who's at fault and who could have maybe done something differently to make it more secure, make it not happen in the first place. But one of the common ways a lot of these hackers get into these systems is through like an email, or through like a from their workforce just being unsafe. And they tend to like, maybe they go to some website, they have a computer system that connect to their infrastructure, and they just decide to, let me browse to bootybooty.com and try to download some content, and all of a sudden it gets on their system, and then it affects, it has some malware or some ransomware virus that affects all the system. and that's pretty, that's pretty likely. A lot of systems nowadays are very, a lot of companies in general, I'd say, but of course you have the ones that are not, but most companies in general have a tight um, uh, a tight like control
Like
mechanism for like
information assurance plan type thing. Like,
yeah, information assurance, and as well as like a boundary that protects like the innards. So like people can't just connect to, I don't know, colonialpipeline.com, and then also they're inside the pipeline, and like you're playing around and touching devices. Um, but uh, it I think a lot of this starts with the employees themselves. They are the like the weakest link in the chain. The employees, if an employee wants to allow some intrude inside the network, I mean, it's pretty easy for them if they have the capabilities and know-how, they can let somebody in. But if a company's being safe and protecting their boundary with the right devices and everything's up to date and keeping everything patched and monitored, it should be pretty hard for people just to break in. But a lot of times these hackers can get in just by somebody messing up, or to get an email they think is official, and they open up the attachment, and all of a sudden it just uh, takes over their system and sends out data or retrieves some data from the internet, um, and it starts like kind of spreading throughout the company. But just to just give a quick breakdown, but this pipeline is in the southeast, goes from Houston, Texas, all the way up to New Jersey. So it's pretty much everything between there, and obviously across the United States uses that pipeline to feed a lot of fuel. But how can this be stopped in the future? I mean, one of the simplest ways to protect the operational technology is to keep it offline. So like air gap systems. Typically, you want to have anything that's vital, not connected to the network, not connected to the internet, rather like externally accessible. You can have your own internal network that everything on the inside can connect to whatever, but it shouldn't be able to touch. Like, I'm actually curious what part of their infrastructure was attacked. I mean, to me, I think I'm assuming that they would have air gap some of the main components of the pipeline. I don't think the hackers were in there like changing fuel levels and things like that, but they're most likely impacting systems that people use, like all the computer systems that they use to monitor stuff, and how to get the gauges, and as well as maybe uh, to access, like if scheduled delivery or report some anomaly in the system or something like that. I bet I would imagine that that was probably the main thing that got attacked. I'm not sure, but just throwing it out there. But maybe they will give us some more information as time passes as far as what exactly was affected. But hopefully they hopefully they are properly air gapping their system so that the attack is at a minimal level, so it's not affecting everything that um, you know everything that they rely on with the pipeline. And the hackers, as far as we know from the FBI, that they confirmed, is called the hacker group is called Dark Side, which is relatively new, um, and they think they are based in Russia. But it's kind of funny that the hackers actually came out with like a kind of like apology to the public, saying that they don't want to like impact anybody, and like let's see, it says our goal is to make money, not create problems for society. So they actually, you know, uh, uh, take it or leave it. They don't want to impact people like at this level. I guess they want to get in, get out, get money from like whatever company, that's some big wig company that has money to throw out, that has money to burn, and they can just like get the money and get out, get up, get along with get on with their lives, and not have to worry about affecting people in general, affecting the population. Because apparently this group, they are like kind of like ransomware for hire for the most part. It's like they let people buy their services or buy their maybe their product, and then they use that product to affect people, and then when that group that bought the product gets money, they give it back to this dark side group. They give them like a little cut of the pot. So um, essentially, this dark side group is like, oh, we don't want these affiliated groups that are using our software to be affecting people that affect their lives, and have people filling up trash bags full of gasoline and things like that. So um, that was pretty much their statement, that they didn't want to cause this much destruction in the society. So take it or leave it, that's what they say. But I don't think anybody's giving them any kind of like leeway or like, oh, okay, you apologize. Now we're just going to forgive everything. Everything's good. You know, you guys can go ahead and continue your ransomware business and start infecting other, as long as you're doing like, people that aren't connected to our main infrastructure, then you can go ahead and do it, find like the Walmarts or something out, whatever. But I don't think anybody's giving them any kind of leeway. But and then the article goes on to say, how can critical services be protected? I think in our next video, we're going to talk about a little bit about what some of the government is doing to try to kind of fix this kind of issue from happening, kind of prevent this issue from happening in other big, impactful parts of the U.S. that need to have like the utmost top-notch security that prevent people from getting into and disrupting some of these big like power plants and water services and like this oil company here. But with that, I gave you guys a lot of information. What do you guys think about this whole pipeline hackery? Maybe I'll start with you, Ryan. I think you seem like you have a lot to say about this.
Yeah, you covered a lot of it though. Like you
Yeah.
put it together pretty well. Like again, we don't know exactly. We know that it did involve forms of encryption. So most likely they encrypted very important files, so that way the pipeline just could not function the way it was supposed to until they paid for the key. And then we'll talk about the payment and all that stuff later on in the week. But for me, the worst part was the business continuity and the disaster recovery plan. Like those are key components, right? Between the C-suite and the CISO or whomever is in charge of the security team. Like they should have been better prepared in that regard, because this pipeline can't be down for longer than a day, let alone half a week. And that's why they wound up paying, because they were down. They couldn't come up off of backups quick enough. If that is a vital part of your system, right? If you're so heavily reliant on these files that they encrypted, then you should have a better plan to get it back up and running. I think Miss Hollins covered it a little bit in our interview with her. Like I'm plugging other material, where she was talking about that's what the CISO, if you can't have a CISO on premises, that's what the vCISO does, right? They help you to tabletop these things to see like what happens if my company completely catches fire. Like what will my employees do? How quickly can we get back up? There's a person for that. Like, did this person exist in Colonial Pipeline? I'm not sure. And if they did, they didn't tabletop or practice this well enough. So they impacted a huge portion of the United States, as we now know or knew before. People are crazy. So you got people filling up, like you said, gas in trash bags, and they got multiple days of gas supply or weeks of supply because they thought they would be gone for that long. They filling up baggies and burning their cars up when it catches fire, because that's the way gas works. So, but yeah, I think it comes down to that continuity. Like if you don't have a good business continuity plan or disaster recovery plan, this is what happens as a company. So. What about you, Shannon?
So I tell you what, something else I saw in the article that was kind of interesting to me is I'm fairly certain I read it in the article that they were talking about giving some of the proceeds that they made to charity. Right? Did you see that? That they were talking about donating it? I read that and I was like, boy, are they shook. I wonder if somebody has already come after them or spoken to them to where they're like, no. We didn't want to do this. We didn't want to mess with society. We're going to give some of this to charity too, right? Like leave us be.
Right.
But
Right.
I thought that was kind of funny when I saw it. I was like, that ain't why you in the business. You ain't in the business to donate it to. You're not Robin Hood. You know what I mean? You're not robbing from the rich, giving to the poor. I've not.
Yeah,
seen
they turned that to hacktivists real quick. But
Yeah.
I think that comes down to like, why would you attack America's most precious, their gas? Like, we would declare war for less.
Well, if it was going to be our most precious, it'd probably be the guns. But
Well, they can't.
That's right. That's all
They can't get to those
America.
yet.
But yeah, but no, I mean, it was one of those things. So, and I think this to myself, right? So yes, they paid the ransom because things were just going down so bad, right? But were they going down so bad because that corridor that is supplied through that pipeline, is it because they actually didn't have enough out there, or was it from the people hoarding was that what made it to where it was so much worse than what it was, right? If we
I
were,
think it was both.
you think it was both? See, and me,
Yeah.
I think it's because we are selfish. Me personally, I think if you'd have had people that just would have been like, okay, yeah, I see this, I'll just fill up my vehicle, maybe drive a little bit less if I have to, just in case it takes forever. I don't think, I don't think Colonial Pipeline would have panicked and paid because they would have had more time, right? But because it was getting so much news, because you see people, filling up trash bags and plastic trash cans and, you know, laying down like 8 of those gas cans in the back of their SUV, right? It's not even like it's in the trunk. Like you're sniffing that fuel because it's in the back of your SUV, it's all in the same passenger compartment. Like I
Yeah.
think I don't know. And again, this is just me personally. I think because we are selfish and you see stuff like that, all of a sudden it takes on a little bit more urgency, right? Because then they're like,
Right.
oh man, look at what the people are doing and
Right.
how it's being covered. And
Yeah.
I'm not now. What's to say? No, I agree with you, Ryan. They did have a terrible business continuity plan, right? Like they should have been up faster than what they were because this was 6 days, right? It wasn't quite a
Yeah.
week. I want to say it was 6 days they went.
But
Um,
yeah, but they didn't even wait. Like they were already paying. The government was already coming in. Like there was a whole lot happening before they got to day 6.
but
Like
that's the thing, right? Was the government coming in because it was a PR type thing, right? Like if it would have happened, it would have gotten out, and people would have been, just being, more considerate. Like I said, I don't think it would have been as bad because they had their backups, right? Like they had the processes to bring things back up. It was just taking so long based off
right.
what was being reported, right? Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I don't know. I don't I don't
Yeah.
want to sit here and say, I can't say Colonial's not at fault, but because they are at fault, right? Like this shouldn't have happened. And I'm with you guys. I think somebody opened up an email. Just for the record, bootybooty.com is offline now, so it don't come. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I don't even
Dang.
know if that's a
Oh
real. I
no.
don't even know if that's a real thing. But no.
I
But
don't even know either. I've never
yeah.
gone to it. It's a good. It just sounds good.
But,
But I agree with you, Shannon. I think it was if it was 6 days, 6 days down. I feel like you know gas stations should have gas fuel for 6 days. I think that people in general, I think overreacted, and emptied out those gas stations. It's like um, you don't see the fuel trucks going to the gas stations like every week. Like at least I don't, I'm not out there all the time, but I don't think they get fueled up that frequently. Unless they're like high like highly active like fuel sites that
like in
people go
high
to, like
traffic areas.
high traffic
Yeah. I
areas. I'm
was gonna
sorry.
say
Yeah.
you should ask your driver, like who drives you to and from your mansion,
Yeah,
how
that's right.
how frequently he gasses you up.
Right. That's right. But I just feel like, I think people just overreacted. Just the same thing with, the toilet papers when the COVID first started, things like that. I mean, I don't think there was an issue with COVID, toilet paper being produced. It was just people were buying it so big, at such a large, like, large clip that they
Volume.
were, yeah, there was just running out of toilet paper, and people were like, oh man, when they see one toilet paper on the shelf, especially when it takes up so much space, they see an empty shelf, they're like, oh man, toilet paper is like it's a hot commodity now. No, nobody has it, um, but yeah, I think it's the same thing with the gas. I feel like we should be able to maintain like a week's worth of supply at a gas station without having to be emptied out. But I saw like on the news, I saw people going to gas stations, saw lines of people at the gas station, you know, cars backed up for like a mile just trying to get gas. It's like I think people were just so hyped up and so like I don't know. I don't know. I understand people have jobs where they need fuel and they need to deliver and taxis and all this
Yeah.
kind of stuff. And but like an average citizen is like, and you don't, especially during COVID, a lot of people working from home, but you don't need to be like hoarding gas for like several weeks that you're going to be like, oh man, I don't know when this gas station is going to be full again. I'm just going to hoard all the gas and fill up my trash bags and containers for, several weeks worth of gas. But I don't know. It's and I could be wrong, but I think the main thing that uh, caused the problem was the people that were kind of overreacting, and besides the fact that Colonial Pipeline, they had their own issues with their infrastructure and their cybersecurity, you know processes that they could have followed a little bit more, maybe been more like prepared for this kind of situation. But nonetheless, we saw what happened, and hopefully that they do what they need to make sure it doesn't happen in the future.
Yeah,
Right. So go ahead, Shannon.
So I'm inclined to believe that they would have not, if it would have lasted longer than the 6 days, they would have not have gone without for long, right? We are pumping, contrary to popular belief, we are pumping oil all over this country. You know what I mean? You can go
Yeah.
all the way as far west as Alaska. You know what I mean? Like you got your Dakotas, you got, all there's gas being pumped everywhere. It would have made its way to the East Coast if it would have lasted long. Like there was no reason to really do that. So that's just why I think it was the people just not being sensical about it that kind of made it worse than what it was, and it made the company panic.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
agree.
And so, yeah, I can see the whole thing coming because they would have been attacked, started to try to come up with their backups. Uh, I think I don't think they have to, but I think it's highly encouraged prior to the executive order and all that stuff we're going to talk about later, where you're supposed to contact like the FBI or the authorities to try to help you out since you are such a large company and you do impact national security from a certain standpoint because you impact people. So as the supply starts to drain, then prices go up. People start to panic. As you can see, cars flip over, catch fire, because that's what gas vapor does. That's why you're supposed to put in a container that doesn't breathe. Just FYI. But again, I got to bring it back down to the root is you have to have a better business continuity plan. Just because, okay, 6 days becomes it's a domino effect, right? So yes, so now while you're down, other companies have to bring in gas potentially. So what if people did not panic? Then probably the 6 days would have been sufficed. But when we get into it later on in the week, who's to say they would have only been down for 6 days had the government not made it a big deal and they had not paid the ransom prior to the government stepping in and all that good stuff. So there's a lot of different choose your own adventures that could have happened. We'll never know. We just know that the situation sucked for everybody involved.
Yeah.
So, but it was crazy as it didn't affect every state the same. Like there's different levels of crazy out there. Because like you think Florida would have been crazy, right? And they for as far as I know, there's only a handful of gas stations ran out of gas. But you have other. I think it was like Virginia, like went dry fast.
Mm.
well, down there in Florida, you got the Gulf Coast. They pumping oil out in that water, like crazy. You know what I mean? So like Florida was
Yeah,
not.
somebody still has to refine it though. Like who was our refinery? Like do we get it from Colonial? I don't even know because I guess if it had gotten worse, we wouldn't know. But and for all I know, it's a domino effect. Like maybe we haven't seen it yet because like Florida being so far south, we get things later. So maybe we were already gassed up, and now as the next wave is supposed to come in, maybe that's when we'll start to see the gas shortage. No clue because
It,
Did you
these
it,
things
guys?
don't happen in real time.
we didn't get anything out here in Colorado. Like out in Colorado, we didn't experience anything from
Yeah,
it.
but you guys have to.
That's
There has to be another pipeline up there somewhere.
Oh, we're pumping oil like crazy out here, man.
I was gonna say they got
oil,
their own
oil and
stuff out
gas.
there. They
Yeah,
Right.
pumping like
Shannon got
crazy.
his own pipeline in his backyard. He
I
should
ain't never
grab
show
some
you the
gas.
Derek. I ain't never show you the Derek in the backyard. I ain't never show you
Get
Yeah.
a
that.
Derek.
I got
Yeah,
some
but
Texas speed.
it still comes down to refinement though, right? Because like when I lived in Alaska, like Alaska is pumping like crazy, right? But they don't refine it, so it has to go all the way back out to the states, get refined, and brought back up to Alaska.
But
So if it had happened to them, they'd have been out for a minute.
I don't know if they go all the way down to Texas for the refineries though, right? Like so this.
No, it's on the West Coast.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is that you have other refineries along the way, and even with Florida, I don't know if they're going as far west as Houston. Where this was it the beginning? Houston was where the refineries are. I can't
Yes, it's Houston to
remember.
Linden, New Jersey.
Right? Yeah, so
Yeah.
even down there in Florida, I don't know if they're going that far west because they could. I think Louisiana has some refineries. Even you know what I mean. Like there's some states in between before they
Mhm.
get to Florida where I think they would have been okay. So
Gotcha. Okay.
Did you guys see
All right.
any cars? I know you guys kind of mentioned. Have you seen any cars like flipped over? Anybody like have any like big explosion with fuel in the back of their vehicle or anything like that? Did you
I
guys
didn't
know?
see it personally. I saw
Okay,
stories.
okay.
I saw
Yeah.
stories
You
of
heard some
Not
stories.
not
I
over
mean,
here. Not where
yeah, I
I'm
didn't mean
at.
like personally, but yeah, if you heard anything about it.
yeah,
I didn't hear any stories of people like
no.
No, I
getting
only
break
saw
like.
that one because again, people like gas vapor catches fire. So if you don't put it in a canister, You see people with baggies. I was like, that's going to blow up somebody's car because
Right.
it
Like
breathes.
spark.
Yeah, and all you need is a little bit of heat because you're in the South. Like, it's hot.
Mm, that's
You leaving
true.
gas in your car with no lid? Like, I'm surprised more cars didn't blow up. Like, we got issues in the States. Y'all need to
or
work it
or
out.
or your house, because they could have got it home and then put it like somewhere where
Yeah,
it
because
shouldn't.
you're gonna put in you probably gonna put it in your garage. You're not gonna put it in the house because you don't smell gas all day. And garages get hot because they're not air conditioned.
Yep. Yeah, not
That's
that they
true.
don't have that climate control. That's true. Yeah. So
Man, but I digress. We'll get more into it throughout the week. But thank you, Shannon. Thank you, LeVon. There's definitely a lot of good information here. I'm sure we'll have another recap in the future where we actually have timelines of what happened because that stuff's going to be pretty interesting from a forensic standpoint. Um, but tune in throughout the week. So tomorrow we're going to go over the executive order and what all that stuff means for the future. And then later on in the week, we'll have a discussion about the ransom and how Colonial Pipeline may have gotten a mega discount on it. But we'll get to that later on in the week. Check us out at the website, www.theothersideofthefirewall.com, where you can get to our YouTube. You can get to all of our audio podcasts. We're on a platform of your choosing in some regard. You can hit me up personally. I'm at RY Security Guy. That's RY Security Guy. You can hit me up on LinkedIn, Clubhouse, Twitter, IG, and TikTok. And you, LeVon?
You hit me up on Twitter at LeVon Maynard.
There it is. Keep tuning out throughout the rest of the week. Stay safe, stay secure. Don't put gas in your house without a lid. Peace.